as we just saw in the song, there are two important qualities that we're reading from Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes. And one quality is that compassion, the mode of compassion. And the other quality is welfare. The devotees are, Vaishnava means they're always concerned about the welfare of others. And both these qualities are shown by Prahlad Maharaj. He was always like, well, I'm not worried for myself. I have faith. I'm worried for all these people who don't have faith, all these people who are suffering. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada, he was very old. And even in his old age, he was concerned about the welfare of other people. He was not well. He had heart attacks and everything. Still, his concern was how to save the world. So this is the quality of a Vaishnava, and we can see also the same with His Holiness Japatak Maharaj. His body's falling apart, his organs are all borrowed organs, so many transplants, and still his concern is others' welfare. And that deep compassion is what actually makes them different than other human beings. Their capacity to be compassionate, their capacity to put Krishna's mission ahead. That's what makes them who they are. And it's what makes us exist in this spiritual facility, in the spiritual world. If Srila Prabhupada didn't come to the West and he just thought, I'm old now, let me take care of myself. My health is more important. My sadhana is more important. We would never be able to worship deities in the temple. We would never come to Krishna consciousness, essentially. And if Srila Prabhupada was thinking that, oh, these people, they don't get it, and if he gave up, and we would have no hope. But he kept trying again and again. He kept trying with his compassion, with his ability to forgive people. I mean, there were so many pastimes where when you can see in that book called Chasing the Rhinos. It's a new book by Shamsundar Prabhu about the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And there we see that at one point when Shamsundar Prabhu was carving Jagannath, he didn't even know how sacred Jagannath is. And he left this cigarette that he was smoking on the head of Jagannath. That was the level of, or lack of culture thereof. No, level of culture, I was about to say, and then I said lack of culture. Like, they didn't even know how to treat a deity. They didn't know most of the things. And in fact, after the Sunday feast program, Srila Prabhupada would wash all the pots of people that ate. He would cook, he would clean, he would wash the pots. And he was very sick at one point, and his concerns were, how do I finish the translation? How do I give the knowledge? And he was in excruciating pain, and he was thinking, yeah, but this pain is nothing in front of suffering in this material world again and again. And similarly, His Holiness Japatak Maharaj also, he is unable to stand up. He is in his wheelchair. He's constantly facing so many health issues, so many pains of all kinds. And somehow or another, just the Lord has bestowed that capacity on pure devotees that they think about others. Just inconceivable. And so even by just thinking of devotees like this, same with Prahlad, right? He was thinking, oh, how will my father be forgiven for all the sins that he's done? He wasn't even worried about what is going to happen to me. In fact, when Nrsimhadev came and liberated Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj was actually very concerned about Hiranyakashipu's liberation. He wasn't even concerned about, he wasn't like, oh, finally my obstacles in my life are removed. He was very thoughtful. He was very introspective. He was like, okay, what's going to happen next? Same thing with Dhruva. Dhruva was not thinking, oh, because of my younger brother, I didn't get to sit on my father's lap. Now the Yakshas have attacked. Let me be okay. No, he went and fought for the brother. So yeah, it seems like in different levels in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see that quality of compassion and welfare for others. Of course, Brahma reminded Dhruva Maharaj, when Dhruva Maharaj was ruthlessly killing all the Yakshas, he said, one person was killed, that was your brother. And now you're killing so many people. So what's the difference between you and the Yakshas then? So Dhruva Maharaj had to kind of calm down. Whereas we see that, I mean, we cannot compare anybody else to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada was completely out of his comfort zone. His god brothers were against him. They didn't want to support him. They were jealous of him when he brought foreign devotees. They didn't really support him. And still, Prabhupada he didn't get into politics. He just said, let them be. We'll do our own thing. So, yeah, such an example. Such an example. Srila Prabhupada was. Another thing I wanted to share was how yesterday, for those of you who were there in our Bhagavatam reading, I asked these three questions. The three questions were, first thing, we read about Hiranyakashipu's anger towards Prahlad. And then I asked these three questions. And first question was, what is your trigger? What triggers us to get angry? What angers us? What is the thing that angers us? And the second question I asked was, what is the expectation due to which anger takes over? And the third question was, what's behind that expectation? What's the desire or attachment behind that expectation? So there's like, this is two lines, right? But one is anger and how we face all the situations. And then on the other side is the welfare of others and compassion that great devotees demonstrate. So these three questions saved me today. So I want to thank you for being part of the yesterday's discussion. Some of you were sharing, and all these things really transformed me. So I went through a trigger today, and it was amazing how these three questions came into my mind. And I said, what is triggering me? And then I had to go to the issues. Okay, what is my expectation here? Oh, and then I figured out it's my false ego. It's me wanting to be in the center. It's me wanting to be comfortable. It's me wanting to feel good. And then the third question I asked was, what is the attachment, right? What is the core attachment? So then I realized, yeah, my problem is why I suffer is because I put myself in the center instead of putting Krishna in the center. So my attachment is, I want to feel good. I want to not go hungry. I want to, whatever it is, all the me is the cause of attachment to me instead of attachment to Krishna. Yes, I will post the questions in the chat box. Anyone else was there? You can post the question in the chat box so then I can continue talking. And Prahlad Maharaj's trigger, he didn't have those triggers because he had already resolved it. He had resolved it in the womb when listening to Narad Muni. Whereas what we may ask, why is it that I am listening, I'm also chanting, but it's not resolving? Because of self-will, because we're constantly trying to fix things on our own. So God's will versus self-will, what are the differences? I'll say that and then we will end there. And if anybody can post the questions yesterday, otherwise you have to wait for me to finish talking and then I'll post it. Okay, so the first thing is God's will, Krishna's will is normally going to cost us something then and there. For example, today for me was letting go of the false ego. But then the huge dividends will be later. But from within, we feel peaceful. We feel calm. When I align to Krishna's will, there is a pay that I need to give something. It's going to cost me something immediately. But internally, I feel calm. And my will, if I try to follow my will, it leads me to easy way out and brings me to immediate gratification, but will cost me dearly later, much, much, much more. So that's a difference between an ordinary human being and acharyas or great devotees who are empowered, who have practiced, let me put it that way. It's not that they were born like us and then suddenly one day some magic lightning strike them and then they became all compassionate. It's a practice over lifetimes, tolerating whatever it is that is coming with faith, and then faith increases and then other things decrease and then eventually. But then it doesn't mean that they will not have old age or disease or death. Those things will still come, but the perspective with which they see the world has changed already. So even anger is the same way. How we see anger, what is causing me angry? For Hanuman, offending Ram will make him angry. For me, offending me will make me angry. So that's the difference. Another difference between Krishna's will and my will. When it's self-will, when it's my will, it's ego-driven decisions. It's not driven by welfare of others. It's not driven with compassion. And also acknowledging the needs for external support or guidance or whatever it is. Externally, people should respect me. Externally, I should get something. Whereas surrendering to Krishna, it is not ego driven. It is driven with the, in Sattva Guna, we think, I want to recover from this Hiranyakashipu mentality. What is Hiranyakashipu's mentality? Is the opposite of Prabhupada, is the opposite of great acharyas. And his whole thing is, I'm getting upset because I'm not getting what I want, and I'm not getting it when I want. Another symptom was, he's telling endless stories. He's thinking Vishnu is like that. I hate him. He is bad. He hates us. But Vishnu doesn't care. He doesn't hate at all. He's just trying to do what is beneficial for the world. The other thing was, Hiranyakashipu was justifying his actions to himself and to others. He was justifying to himself, to Prahlad, to all the Sanda and Amarka, everyone. He was justifying. And then the third other thing was, he was making a lot of plans for his plans. Whereas, and then also two more things. He thought, I can handle it. I can handle Prahlad. I can destroy this little 5-year-old boy. Oh, he's not an obstacle for me. And then argue or reject whatever the other person says. Whereas the opposite of what's the signs, what is the sign that we are turning to Krishna's will? We are calm, we're not plagued by fantasies and stories, and we don't feel to justify our actions. Then we're also focused on doing the next right thing. We're not thinking, we're not judging, oh, Krishna is bad, oh, Krishna doesn't love me, oh, Krishna is not helping me. We're not in that storytelling mood. We just say, what is my next right step? We don't go into analyzing whether or not Krishna is doing his job. We do our job, we do our duty. We don't do it with the expectation that he should provide for me now, here and now, but rather we focus on the next right thing. And then we are open to help. They say that we have to have an open mind. Otherwise, if the mind is not open, it's like mind is like a parachute. If it's not open, then it won't work. So remember that next time. So open mind means have open-mindedness. Krishna has the best interest for you. Krishna he's right in time to help us. We are nobody to judge. We have no power, no control. As long as we think I have power to judge what is Krishna or what is Krishna's devotees, then I'm only entangling myself in more addictive patterns. And then the other one is, we can let go and take suggestions without fear. So giving up fear and taking the suggestions, not doing it. It's not like a trade deal. I'll give you this much, you give me that much. So that was all Hiranyakashipu. I. That was Hiranyakashipu, right? Okay. So any questions, any comments? Any other realizations on those 3 questions? Thank you so much, Komal Mataji. She has posted it. And the third question is, what makes you angry? What are your triggers? Yeah, that was the first question. And the second question was, what are the expectations that are unfulfilled that leads you to anger? The third question is, what attachments leads to those expectations? Oof, I'm telling you, those 3 questions were my saving grace today. Really, immediately I processed it. I asked myself these questions and I was able to arrive at a conclusion which gave me sanity. Okay, any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we can do the... Okay, so Rasasali Mataji, you can do the affirmation, please.
Mataji, it's a request, just share some of the pastimes of Maharaj,
Okay, so in about 2.5 hours, almost three, actually, no, 2 hours. In 2 hours, there is a live class. We will be giving a talk to Portland, so I can live stream it on Zoom and you can watch it. My husband and me, we will talk about Jaipatak Maharaj and Basim. So
Wow, thank you.
you're welcome to join.
What
I'll
time?
send the link in 2 hours.
8 o'clock. 7:30. Affirmation 7. I chant in full awareness that the holy name is my greatest treasure. This is similar to the last affirmation and is based on the Harim Nam Chintamani. The holy name is the greatest jewel in the Lord's treasury because the holy name awakens our love for Krishna, and this love is our greatest wealth. At the same time, to have a relationship with us is one of Krishna's most cherished desires. Although he has everything, he doesn't have our heart, and he hankers for it and is anxiously waiting for us to return to him. And since the Mahamantra will cause us to give our heart to Krishna, he will get from us what he most desires through the Mahamantra. The holy name not only gives us the strength we need to continue in Krishna consciousness, but also fully reveals our eternal form, relationship, and service. Plus, without the holy names, there would be no possibility of achieving Krishna consciousness in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. The Mahamantra is thus Krishna offering us a relationship with him. If we chant his name without offense, we will revive that relationship and we will please Krishna. What could be more valuable than this? Hare Krishna.
Jai. What a perfect thing, right? All Krishna has everything. Only thing is our heart, and that's what he wants. I love that. So we'll stop the live, and before we start, so let's take a deep breath, relax our shoulders, open your minds, open your hearts. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Madhava, asking them to remove all offensive mentality, all sinful mentality, all doubts, any issues of faith, and to cleanse our heart, to cut off karmic bondage. With gratitude, we invoke the holy names of Krishna so he can empower us to develop compassion, to develop faith, and to achieve the purpose of this life. May our actions and our service be pleasing to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.